Captain America: The First Avenger is directed by Gary Johnston, and his name is Gary, right? It's Joe. It's Joe. It's directed by Joe Johnston, and it stars Chris Evans, Hugo Weaving, Haley Atwell, Sebastian Stan, and Tommy Lee Jones.
And in this movie, we follow Steve Rogers, a scrawny, underweight military enthusiast who has always dreamed to fight in the U.S. Army, but is not allowed because of his physical condition. Until one day, his bravery and heart are noticed by a scientist by the name of Dr. Erskine, who would like to use him as an experiment to create a new type of military soldier.
I'll have it.
Yeah.
Pause up.
I could not think of the word soldier. I was about to say military superhero. Turning him into Turning him into Iron Man. That's why Tony Stark and Captain America were so mad at each other in the Avengers.
Because they're both Iron Man.
Yeah. I was Iron Man first. Turning Steve Rogers into Captain America. Oh Lord. I'm horribly exhausted. Insane. I've never felt this way during an interview.
During an interview?
During a review. God, am I freaking high right now? Review. That's what they're
Not an interview.
God, let's just get this done, man.
Yeah, no, right? So, Marquez, what do you think of this? What did you think of
I thought it wasn't bad. Okay.
So, Marquez, what did you think of this movie?
I actually didn't find it that bad. I did have a few issues with it, but we'll get to that later. The main thing I do want to bring up for this movie is I felt like the acting was really good overall. Obviously, Chris Evans is a fantastic choice for Captain America, Steve Rogers. He really does bring this kind of nice little. He really knows how to display Steve Rogers as like this really nice guy. Mm-hmm. He really does display that really well. All the people in this movie are really picked amazingly, especially Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull.
Yeah, and the story itself, just the bare bones of the story was pretty good. I just feel like a lot of Marvel movies, they have pretty great stories. They just don't execute them sometimes in the best way. And I feel like Captain America, the First Avenger, fell victim to that.
Dr.
Erskine.
Erskine. Foreskin. Now for this movie, there's actually a lot of good things to be said. You can talk really good about Stanley Tucci as Dr. Erskine. You can talk really good about Dr. Erskine himself. His character is really fantastic, especially the relationship that's built between Dr. Erskine and Steve Rogers. Plus, there's a whole bunch of other relationships. Like obviously, there's the relationship between Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes that builds really well. But I think, unfortunately, I can also connect some of the best things in this movie to why there are certain elements in this movie that kind of take a lot of points away from it. I feel like the relationships are done really well, but there's something about this movie, I'm not really sure what it is, that almost feels fake. It almost makes me feel a disconnect from all characters. It feels very scripted. I'm not really sure what it is because all the stuff is done well. Either it's the script's really good, the writing's good, the dialogue's good. It's just something about it. I'm not really sure. It just feels fake.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the combination of the directing and the production design because, well, for one, the production design, especially when they're in the city, on the streets and everything, I know it's supposed to be in the 40s, so they can't just go out on the streets and film in the regular streets nowadays. But it just looked really, like, I think the CGI just looked really fake. And it didn't look natural. It didn't look like an actual city that they were in. And I think that added to the feeling of it not being very authentic.
What was really weird was, well, Dr. Erskine, like I said, the relationship between him and Steve Rogers was really good. The character was really well written. I actually felt like I somewhat cared for the characters in this movie. I felt like I should have cared for them more, but I don't really know what more they could have done to make me care about them. So whenever Dr. Erskine died, I didn't really feel much.
Right.
Even whenever, and I think that's one big thing, that Steve Rogers like walked up to him, and they should have done more of that scene, I feel like.
Yeah, I didn't feel the same emotion I felt whenever Jensen died in the first Iron Man movie.
Because I remember, and I understand, Steve Rogers was in a big hurry, yeah. So you kind of walked up to him, and kind of like, I think he just like looked at him and he died. You know? And he might have said a few words, can't remember for sure, but he barely did anything, and he ran off because he was in a big hurry. And I think they brought him up like one time after that, because these characters, the writing makes me fully care about them, but overall, I don't feel them to be actual humans.
The villain for this movie, the Red Skull, if it wasn't for Hugo Weaving's performance and him having a little red skull as a face, I don't think he would have been as interesting as they wanted him to be, because there wasn't much to his character, which I guess I can't really say much, because I think most origin superhero movies are like that. Most of them, where the villain is pretty much just there to be the villain for the superhero, because most of the movies spent for the origin story of the superhero. But at the same time, I can't really give it a pass because there wasn't much to go with for the Red Skull. And as cheesy as it was, I did like the sequence where he was wearing the cheesy outfit and they were having him act out certain scenes, and he even acted out the famous cover of the very first Captain America comic where he's punching Adolf Hitler in the face, and they even sold it and they showed it in the movie, the cover, and it was like pretty much like it was painted from him acting out on stage.
Yeah, that's the thing, that this movie actually does have a lot of really well done sequences and really well done scenes. Like the scene whenever Dr. Erskine and Steve Rogers are kind of just sitting, it's right before, the day before Steve Rogers is going to have his procedure. They're kind of talking, and that scene was really well done. That scene was actually really well written. I kind of love that scene. And that was kind of a scene where everything else was kind of blocked off from this world, to where I could just focus on these two characters and not on the setting and not on everything else that's going on. So that scene felt real. So it felt real, and that was really nice. Then you also have the very end scene, but the one of the last scenes whenever Steve Rogers is about to just have to crash right into the ice, and he's talking to Agent Carter. They're planning out this dance, and I love that. I love that entire scene, just planning out the dance. And then probably one of my favorite things I actually really like about this movie was the very last line, whenever I said add a date, or
yeah, something like that.
So this movie actually does have a lot of great things in it, and I do like this movie. I don't think it's a bad movie per se. I felt like everything was really done well with it. It's just that it just does not feel real, and it feels scripted, and that's a pretty big negative for me, considering that it might have to do with the fact that and some people may say it might have to do with the fact that it's supposed to take place in like the 40s, and so it feels a little weird from what we live to nowadays. But I've seen movies set in the 40s sometimes, and they feel real, and this movie just doesn't. So guys, y'all probably already seen this before, but if y'all haven't, I probably would recommend going and checking out. It's not a bad movie, but it does have its fair share of issues, kind of feeling fake at all times. But overall, it's a pretty well-written movie and a very well-acted movie. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Captain America, the First Avenger, is 80% awesome.
I'm not going to say that this film is a bad movie at all. I just feel like it was very mediocre. I'll say it's a level above mediocre, but I still would recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen it. So I'm going to say that Captain America, the First Avenger, is 70% awesome.
So guys, today we went ahead and filmed one of our first collaboration videos in a long time with our friends at HalfKocked. I will put a link in the description below to their channel. We went to go see Ready Player One and we reviewed that movie. We had like 9 people in that review. It was a lot of fun, so hopefully we get to do that again. I'm not really sure when they'll have it up, but go ahead and check that out, and we'll have that review on their channel, and it's us, and it's really awesome. So anyways, guys, if you like this video, don't forget to like and share and subscribe. Also, comment below and let us know what you thought about Captain America the First Avenger and where you would place it and rank it on your list from the MCU movies so far.
And don't forget to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at 2 Awesome Men.
And as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see us later.